magic, and no, I don't want to talk about it. Yes, I know Winterhold used to be full of mankind, and no, I don't care that they're all gone now. Does that cover everything? I've just been asked enough questions. I'm here to learn, not to explain myself over and over. Forgive me. I didn't mean to assume. Not really. Just that it's very, very old. It was one of the first cities of men in Tamriel, I think. Didn't you know? Before the Oblivion Crisis, many elves called Winterhold their home. More visited the college from Morrowind every year. After, growing distrust of magic made life difficult for many. Some left rather than endure the growing hatred from the local nords. Others returned home after the Red Year, when Vardenfell erupted and caused much destruction. Winterhold itself died in the years between then and now. What's left out there is a husk. Only the college really remains. So far, if only because no one is telling me how great I ought to be. I just want to learn. I don't want to think about what's expected of me.
Good to see you.
New here too, eh? It's good to see another Nord. I feared I'd be the only one. Almost doesn't feel like Skyrim, being so far away from the rest of the world here. Magic is shunned by most. If it can't be swung over your head and used to crack skulls, most Nords want nothing to do with it. Magic is seen as something for elves and weaker races. Alright then. Nords don't trust magic or those that use it. Made it difficult for me growing up. Well, look at the evidence. Nords generally don't trust magic, so it's not off to a good start. Throw in the Oblivion Crisis, which was caused by magic users, and the troubles now with the Aldmeri Dominion, who are elves and magic users. And finally, take the fact that the college is the only thing left standing after most of Winterhold was destroyed. It's all fairly damning. Not at all. I consider it a blessing. My family was convinced coming here was a death sentence, or worse. It took years of insisting that this is what I'm meant to do. Until next time.
Good to see Skyrim still has such fine people. Take a look.
Skyrim could not be more different from elsewhere. But magic is the same no matter where you go. You are new, yes? Have you mastered the expert level destruction spells yet? Ah, this is good. But Jezargo will know them first. It is good to finally be around mages who may be able to keep up with Jezargo. Oh yes, Jezargo hopes to find things that will make him a more powerful mage here. Hopefully small things that fit inside pockets and will not be noticed if they are missing. Oh, but you are wrong. The only reason you could disagree is because you are losing so badly you cannot see it. There is much for Jezargo to be sure of. There is skill in magic, there is charm, and there is a strong will. Jezargo will be successful. Of this there is no doubt.
All right then.
Have you heard from your family recently?
No, not really. Couriers don't seem to like delivering letters here.
That's too bad.
Not
Be careful.
means I'm not being hounded about my progress at the college.
They won't say much, but most people are very strong.
We've stopped. What is it? Can I help you?
Your first lesson was on wards, huh? So that's how you protect yourself from mage fire. And all this time, I've been dodging it.
We've stopped. What is it? Let's get going.
Oh, there was a great rumble outside this morning. Did you feel it? Surely it must have been a giant riding a carriage, or a flying ship. Yes, but that's far too ordinary. Maybe not yesterday, but now, very much so. Unless it was a water dragon. A dragonfish whose breath was steam. Of course, it's more fish than dragon, and more bug than fish. It feasts on wood, and its diet consists solely of mortal-made ships. Oh, I would never try anything like that. Won't even drink a bottle of ale. I need my mind absolutely clear so I know what I see is real. The field of unknown and undiscovered magic. It seems odd that there are only 5 schools. There should be at least 500. How else can you explain all the magical phenomena in this world? Doomstones, alchemy, and dragon shells, for instance. Those can't be categorized by any of the 5 schools. But Magnus's imprint is everywhere. Some say it was he, not Lorcan, who made the world. His departure made the sun, and when plants use it to grow, they use magic. All the energy on Mundus is related to Magnus in some form. Oh, plenty. Although they all sort of relate to magic in one way or another. For instance, I was trying to build a more secure coin purse by trapping your gold inside a soul gem. Oh, I sometimes do that too. Yes, as an institution of learning, but we are in Skyrim after all. And when in Skyrim, do like the nords. Of course, using destruction magic will be too dull. Even the illusion spells get boring. Oh yes, it was a bit tricky getting the conjuration trap to recognize inanimate objects as souls. But a dash of blood and harmonizing the resonance did it. The problem was getting the gold out. I tried enchanting a couple of wooden coins using the gem, but they lost the imperial markings. Oh yes, telekinesis interests me greatly. If we could just reduce the magic cost by concentrating the propulsion energy, it could replace bows. You could just keep a pouch of bear claws in your pocket and fire them at your enemies. Very effective against mages with strong wards. The same principle applies to my other project, the floating hall. A hall without a floor or a ceiling, everything just floats. So instead of having to walk up a lengthy flight of stairs, you're pushed upwards, or rather, repelled. It works like this. Imagine smearing a bit of ground draga paste on a table. Then, place a dinner plate above it and chant it to repel the undead. The floating hall would work on the same principle. although I'm not sure how they would get down. Oh, all the time. Especially at the college where magical energy is strong. Floating objects like books, soul gems, and silverware for one. You really have to watch where you're going or you might run your eye into a fork. Then there's the multiplying fruit. Master Dravis thinks the several hundred apples he found in his pillow was a prank. I think it was a rare form of spontaneous cloning. Clearly some type of plant-based magic, like an evolved form of alchemy. Of course, I bet in places like Valenwood there are all sorts of carnivorous plants that use magic to capture their prey. Like a plant with invisible fangs on its fronds, trapping birds and insects who stop to rest their weary wings. Or how about a talking plant who uses magic to mimic speech? A stamen is almost like a tongue. Then you get real close and the fangs chomp you. That is, if the mud monsters don't get you first. Plants must have some version of the undead, raised from the ground by magical spores and such. Until next time.
It's lies. All of it. I don't care what she told you. It's all lies. No? Well, then she hasn't gotten to you yet. But she will. And don't you believe a word of it. Well, I suppose I could use a hand with something, yes. Feralda's working on something, and I want to know what it is. I want her notes. You think you could get them for me without her knowing? I'll throw some money at you. Good enough? Just get the notes and bring them to me. If you can't do it, I'll find some other way to manage it. My problem with her? She's the one who has a problem with me. She's threatened by me, by my skill as a wizard, by my elegance and posture, by my superior good looks. But she is not going to get the better of me. Oh no, I won't let it get to me one bit. That's what she's after. She's trying to undermine my confidence, make me doubt myself. Well, it won't work, I tell you.
Let me give you a bit of advice. You want to work on something that's not officially allowed? Don't tell anyone you're doing it. You need something you're not officially supposed to have? You come see me. You tell anyone that I told you, and I'll fry you from the inside out. Got it? Huh? Good.
I wonder if a librarian at Cyrodiil leaves all the cleaning duties to a single apprentice.
Go fiddling with any locks around here, we're going to have a real problem.
welcome the smell of blood from all the kills I will make.
What can I do for you, friend? Can I help you? Let's get going. I'm still here.
If you're working on any experiments, please clean up after yourself.
We've stopped. What is it?
Argonians aren't built for the cold, but this one doesn't mind too much. Skyrim isn't very friendly, so we mostly just keep out of the way. Thank you, my friend. Your kindness will never be forgotten. You have questions? The Dunmer came up with the stuff a long time ago. Very illegal and very hard to come by. I get my skooma from Sarthas Idri. Oh yes, people say it is quite dangerous. They say Folian of Morthal has studied vampires, Draugr, and all manner of undead. Most Nords don't care. Of course, it's not worth dying over. Take a look.
I'm still here. What do you need to take? Let me know if there's anything else you need. Let's get going.
Hey.
Can I assist you? Lead on.
What do you need, Bard?
I'm still here.
If you require assistance with summoning techniques, please let me know. If you would, please also contain your summons to the college grounds. The locals do not need to be agitated further by Atronachs roaming their town. The summoning of undead is even less advisable outside the college. I sure know. Those archaic policies died out with the Mages Guild, and were never enforced here. Necromancy, as any other type of magic, is a tool to be used. Of course, non-mages may not see it that way, so we don't go around flaunting it. Not within society, no. Many who practice within the school of conjuration do so on their own, secretly. Thalion is the only one I know who is public about what he does. He was once my teacher here, but left the college years ago. He didn't like the arch-mage. Hated dealing with him. Hated having to answer to him. Valian said he hated what this place was becoming, so he just left. Aron found a note on his desk, and that was it. I understand he settled down in Hjalmarch, and his presence there caused something of a problem. So you wish to master the arcane arts?
I'm still here.
Need something? Up for a little hunting? Until next time.
What can I do for you, friend?
Greetings.
You can see me? Confound it all, I was quite sure I was invisible. Or at least transparent. Oh my, that's quite a difficult question. Never underestimate the ability to influence others. Whether they're friends or foes, they're almost all susceptible to illusion spells. They can turn the tide of a battle in a moment's notice. There are also spells that help in avoiding conflict altogether. Invisibility is tricky to master, but exceptionally useful. There may be a matter in which your skills could be useful. The various points of focus for magic energies around the college have become polluted and need cleansing. I see. The magical energies underneath the college still require purification. Your assistance would be most useful. Very well. These specially enchanted gloves will allow you to delve directly into the focal points for these energies. Go to each focal point and remove whatever impurities you may find there. Return the gloves to me when you have finished. Please exercise caution. This is not a procedure without possible consequences. Use the gloves to clear the focal points. Return to me when you have finished. I thought I made this rather clear. Oh my. Never under... They can turn... There are also spells that help in avoiding conflict altogether. Spells and incantations for those with the talent to cast them. Till next time.
Please, if there are any problems, let me know. It's my job to keep things running smoothly. There are no expectations. This college is a place to study and practice magic freely. Hopefully any discoveries made in your pursuits will be shared with the members of the college first. That way we all benefit. Well, that depends on what you're looking for. Beralda can teach destruction spells, and offers training in that school. Finis is one of the best conjurers in all of Skyrim, and can help with spells from that school. Don't let Tolfdir fool you. He's the preeminent scholar on alteration, one of the best in Tamriel, and always willing to pass on his knowledge. If you can find him and focus his attention, there's a great deal Drevis can teach you about illusion magic. And finally, there's Colette. She may be difficult to get along with. She's very knowledgeable when it comes to restoration magic.
You lead, I'll follow.
Let's get going.
Confound it all! This page too! That makes 5 in total. This is unacceptable! A page from one of these texts, and 4 others, torn right from the spine. I've consulted with Urog's apprentice girl, and she insisted, rather emphatically, that none of these tomes have been checked out for years. I told the girl that wouldn't preclude a thief from browsing the cases. I don't blame her, though. It's the head librarian's duty to keep more sensitive texts behind sealed doors. Or perhaps it's the fault of the one who trained him. In either case, the result is the same. It is as I feared. Someone has managed to steal key pages from the writings of Trectus. You need to brush up on your history. Or stop to listen when professors are lecturing. Although I admit Travis's voice is its own sleep spell. This nameless scribe you speak of is Vanis Galarion, founder of the Mages Guild. It's unlikely Mead had anything to do with it. Although I agree with your assessment that spirits of any kind have no place in a library. It's more plausible that Urog failed to see the merit of a controversial theory, and in defiance made the text available to anyone. The majority of scholars are split between 2 disparate camps. Some believe the texts are worthless scribbles written by a child, one who had yet to grasp the vastness of his destiny. Others contend that the author is not Vanis himself, but a pretender hoping to profit from the mage's name. Both camps, however, are in agreement that the texts themselves have no intellectual merit. There are some, however, who attribute the text to a different origin. Not the young Trectus, but the elder Vanus Galarian. The theory states that Vanus wrote the text in the guise of his younger self, precisely so that scholars would question its authenticity. By diverting the eyes of those who seek power, it provided an extra layer of security, in addition to the cryptic nature of the text itself. I mentioned the pages from 5 separate texts were stolen. This is no coincidence. I'm sure you can divine why. It pains me to see a member of the college struggling with such a simple query. Are you so daft as to be unaware that there are 5 schools of magic being taught here? No. I apologize. The onus is not on the students, but the professors tasked with curing them of their ignorance. It is well known that Galarian's gifts for magic were quite diverse. He could restore a rose to full bloom not long after burning it aflame, all the while fooling the mind into believing its scent had rotted away. The theory goes that Galarian was on the verge of completing 5 new spells, 1 for each school. Spells of such tremendous power that even the immortal armies of Manimarco would countenance their fear. Unfortunately, Galarian's obsession with his nemesis deprived him of his patience. Nevertheless, before he embarked on the great battle, he left notes encoded in 5 works, so others could continue his research. I have an inkling. I was able to glean some clues based on my interviews of the residents of Winterhold, who seem far more observant of mages than the faculty. I sent my assistant, Jado Ra, to investigate the matter further, but I fear something grave has befallen him. Finally, someone with initiative. I need someone to scout the area he was investigating. Your safety is paramount. If the mage in question is at the site, do not attempt to confront him, even if Jado Ra is in imminent danger. The Khajiit is a crafty one. He will leave clues behind even in death. Yet if you sacrifice both your lives, both your efforts will be squandered. Good. Jado Ra last left for Solitude, but it is unlikely he is still there. I would start with the caverns near the shoreline. If you find him, and find him well, he may ask for a passphrase. Yes. The problem is, I seem to have forgotten that inscrutable Khajiit word he gave me. So in exchange, I ask you to tell him this. Tell him how, when I met him, I mocked his whiskers, how they were as black as an Imperial's hair. Tell him that his eyes are so narrow that even when he laughs he looks unhappy. Yet their color still shines as bright as the sun. And if he finds that too sentimental, tell him he was more valuable as a rug. And if he finds that when he accidentally lights his fur on fire, tell him he was more valuable as a rug. He would no longer be worth anything to anyone. Greetings. Each book is a cleverly crafted tale that hints towards the ideals of a particular school of magic. However, the overall narrative is unimportant. From what I have gathered in my time here, it seems the school of magic is simply a mechanism. For instance, I found lighting a text with an alteration spell revealed a hidden message written in an ink altered to mimic a human soul. Of course, without the knowledge to light the aura of life aglow, the mage's search would end there. The chain continues until one reaches the destination. The final pages that contain detailed notes on the crafting of a new spell. I'm afraid not. The texts are evidence, and the methods Galarion used to encode the journals must undergo further study. Once I have informed Urog of his omission, he will add the works to this library's collection, along with the missing pages, should they be retrieved. If you have scholarly interest, however, I can share with you the 5 tales of Galarion's youth. They are quite interesting. As a young child, Galarion's father bought books from smugglers in order to teach his son how to read. As serfs of a minor nobleman, Lord Jeunesse of Solakik-on-Kur, such knowledge was strictly forbidden. Galarion recounted how his father taught him to avert his eyes at every signpost, and to speak within proper diction. Most of all, he warned him not to reference the tales he read, but more importantly, the cities, beasts, and forests contained therein. For the spell would be broken the instant their lord realized the boy knew things his eyes could not see. Galarion's mother was an old-fashioned woman, one comfortable with her station. She never wanted to deprive Galarion of knowledge. She was, however, fearful of the consequences. A seed of dread was planted in her mind, and grew into a forest of despair. It was only a matter of time before her husband or her child would betray their literacy. In truth, Lord Jeunesse suspected nothing, but in her reality, she saw her husband on the gallows, and through her actions, she made it true. Vanessa's father died from the crime of literacy. He was hung, his body left out for weeks as the sweltering heat bubbled the skin of his fetid corpse. The effigy itself was gruesome, but so was the cruelty of Lord Jeunesse. He forced Galarion to scrub the gallows every day, as his father hung lifelessly above him. He held the lessons of his father close to his heart, and never spoke an indignant word, no matter how callously the nobleman prodded him. However, if one stayed awake past the dead of night, one could hear the violence echoing from the basement of the servants' quarters. As a child, Vanus Galarion escaped his birth home of Solakik-on-Kur. He simply crept out of his quarters one night and ran. He never stopped running. He had trekked halfway across the Somerset Isle when he reached the shores of Alinor. There was nowhere left to run. Exhausted, he collapsed in a ditch. It is there that a band of troubadours found his body and nursed him back to health. They employed him as an errand boy and gave him food and shelter, and the life he had seemingly lost was somehow returned to him. Vanus Galarion once ran with a group of troubadours. They performed from city to city, regaling crowds with their song and flair. One of them was a former jester, a man with deft hands. From out of the ether, he would withdraw a bouquet of flowers or a septim from your ear. However, it was the group as a whole who cast a spell on the young boy, drawing a smile that had been lost to the void. As you will. My name is Olivia Moronin, a former member of the Mages Guild at the Arcane University in Cyrodiil. When the guild disbanded, many of my colleagues regrouped to form the Synod. However, their objectives do not align with the tenets Galarion and the Council established when they founded the guild. Nor do they abide by the teachings we have stood by in the centuries that followed. Theirs is an organization based on cupidity and lust for power. You flatter me, but not all of us can have childhoods as interesting as Vanus Galarion's. If the Divines are good, no one ever will. The college itself is a breathtaking wonder, a citadel of knowledge, standing high over the waves of ignorance. It is a fortress of higher thinking, buttressing its residents from the storms of indolence. However, while the students show an alacrity to learn, I am not entirely fond of the professors, who seem far too concerned with their own research. Although the necessity for research is vital, their failure to involve students in the process is disheartening. Whether it is fear for their safety or disinterest educating them, I cannot brook such a gross disinterest in the instruction of young minds. Only Tolfdir seems interested in performing his duties responsibly, but I have reservations in the manner with which he carries them. Farewell.
Urag can be very helpful. Just don't antagonize him.
Good to see you. I'll take my leave then.
Hello, friend.
I'm still waiting for those notes, if you can get them.
What do you need?
Out with it.
Mirabelle does a fine job as Master Wizard, I suppose. Still, there's always room for improvement. It's been a pleasure.
Be there with you. Stay sharp out there. I wish I could be there with you. Stay sharp out there.
I heard in the Dark Brotherhood they assign a listener just so people can vent their problems. The air is so thick in library. I wonder if the librarian at Cyrodiil leaves all the cleaning duties to a single apprentice. I'm Master gro-Shub's apprentice. While I've been trained in the library arts, at the moment, my duties are rather limited. There isn't much that Master can't handle already. I'm more of an understudy. Someone who takes over if and when he retires. Which, at this rate, will be anywhere between someday and never. No, and it's not an exaggeration. I know Master gro-Shub looks old, well, because he is. Way too old for an orc. The rumor around here is that he's immortal, as in he measures time by the era. Which means, unless I start a competing library, I'm stuck being an apprentice forever. And who do you think the college will blame? The only girl in town who stands to gain from his death. No thanks. I'll just play the waiting game and hope Master gro-Shub chokes on a horker loaf. Recently, I've been tasked with updating the college dictionary, which is a thankless but important job. Dictionaries are critical tools for preserving language, and they allow future generations to communicate with their ancestors. Yes, adding a single word can result in having to replace an entire section of the dictionary. I could shorten some of the other definitions so they fit on the page, but Master wasn't thrilled with that idea. I don't know if he was angry at me for taking shortcuts, or suggesting I abridge his research. Maybe both. Not necessarily. Master says spoken language is a living, breathing organism, always evolving and shedding old skin. In contrast, the written word is both living and dead. It's filled with babies and grandparents. My job is to introduce you to them. Just one. In the interest of efficiency, Master insists that I only make updates when there are at least 10 new words worth adding. Well, if he's going to be so rigid about it, I'm going to speed the process by developing some of my own. As much as I appreciate it, only a trained librarian is allowed to introduce new words into the annals. Sure. You know how people use animals as verbs or gerunds? Like ferreting out, or squirreling about, or wolfing down? Well, I thought, why not apply the same logic to trolls? I find trolls to be very fierce, but honest creatures. The way I see it, trolling could mean stating your opinion, but with honesty and passion. You know, the same way a troll fights. Well, sort of, I think. The Arcanium is a very prestigious library, with many of its books going back to the Second Era. The more delicate tomes are kept under lock and key, but you're welcome to browse the outer collection at your leisure. Master gro-Shub has a list of books unfit for the collection. Frivolous works by academic standards, but still interesting reads. Talk to him if you want more information. Just the one. Let's just say Neri and Faralda are having Sergius enchant more than just items. Right. I probably shouldn't be spreading gossip. But you did ask. Make sure to put the books back in the right shelf.
Need something? Need something?
Lead the way.
Good to see you.